Anxious attachment. Why you can't stop clinging. Have you ever sent a message, watched the screen for a reply, and suddenly found yourself imagining the worst possible outcome because a few minutes had passed? Maybe the conversation was completely normal, yet the silence felt anything but normal. The mind begins filling in the blanks with questions that have no clear answers. Did something go wrong? Are they losing interest? Was something said that pushed them away? Before long, a simple delay can feel like the beginning of the end. For many people, these thoughts are more than occasional worries. They become a repeating cycle that shapes how relationships feel every single day. This experience is often connected to what psychologists call anxious attachment, one of the most discussed attachment styles in modern psychology. It is not about being dramatic, needy, or weak. It is about how the brain learns to seek closeness, interpret uncertainty, and respond to the fear of losing important relationships. Once you understand how anxious attachment works, many confusing behaviors suddenly begin to make sense. What anxious attachment really is. Attachment is the emotional bond people develop with those they depend on, especially during childhood. These early experiences help shape expectations about closeness, trust, and emotional security later in life. Anxious attachment is one pattern that can develop when affection, comfort, or emotional availability feels unpredictable during important stages of development. Sometimes support is there, and sometimes it is not. Over time, the brain learns that love may disappear without warning, making closeness feel uncertain instead of secure. As adults, this can show up as an intense need for reassurance, heightened sensitivity to emotional distance, or persistent worry about being rejected. None of this means someone is choosing to feel this way. These responses often develop gradually over many years and can become deeply ingrained ways of navigating relationships. Why small things feel so big. One of the most confusing parts of anxious attachment is how ordinary situations can trigger powerful emotional reactions. A short text message, a canceled plan, a different tone of voice, or a partner needing time alone may seem minor to one person, but deeply unsettling to someone with anxious attachment. The emotional response is not necessarily about the event itself. It is about what the event might represent. The mind quickly searches for hidden meaning, trying to predict possible rejection before it happens. This is not because the person enjoys worrying. It is because the brain is attempting to protect an important relationship from being lost. Ironically, the very strategies used to seek closeness can sometimes create additional stress within the relationship, leaving both people feeling misunderstood. The need for reassurance. Everyone appreciates hearing that they are loved, valued, and important. For someone with anxious attachment, reassurance can feel less like a pleasant bonus and more like an emotional necessity. Kind words, affectionate gestures, and consistent communication may temporarily reduce anxiety, but the relief often fades quickly. Soon the same questions begin returning. Does this person still care? Are things really okay? Did something change without anyone saying it? This pattern is not usually driven by a lack of intelligence or self-awareness. Many people recognize these thoughts are excessive even while struggling to quiet them. The emotional brain often reacts much faster than the logical one, creating an exhausting cycle where reassurance brings comfort for a while, before uncertainty gradually returns. Why it can feel so difficult to let go. One of the biggest misconceptions about anxious attachment is that people simply become attached too quickly or refuse to move on after relationships end. The reality is often more complicated. When someone becomes an important source of emotional security, losing that connection can feel like losing the foundation that provided stability in the first place. Memories become stronger, hope becomes difficult to release, and the mind repeatedly searches for ways to repair what has been lost. This does not happen because someone enjoys emotional pain. It happens because attachment systems are designed to maintain important bonds. Understanding this does not remove the heartbreak, but it helps explain why moving forward can sometimes feel much harder than outsiders expect. The fear of being too much. Many people with anxious attachment carry a quiet fear that rarely gets spoken out loud. It is the fear of becoming too much for the people they care about. Too emotional, too available, too affectionate, too invested. Because of that fear, relationships can become exhausting long before anything actually goes wrong. Every conversation gets analyzed, every pause starts to feel meaningful, and every change in behavior feels like a puzzle that has to be solved immediately. A partner might simply be having a busy day, but the anxious mind often interprets distance as a warning sign instead of a temporary situation. The emotional system is constantly trying to detect possible rejection before it happens, believing that staying alert will somehow prevent future pain. Overthinking every interaction. Imagine finishing a conversation and instead of moving on with the day, replaying every sentence in your mind. Was the response shorter than usual? Did the smile seem forced? Was that joke misunderstood? Could one wrong word change everything? For someone with anxious attachment, these thoughts can become incredibly difficult to switch off. The brain naturally looks for patterns, and when relationships feel uncertain, it starts collecting tiny details that other people may never even notice. Most of those details mean absolutely nothing, yet the emotional brain treats each one as important evidence. The result is a cycle where overthinking creates anxiety. Anxiety creates more overthinking, and every new interaction becomes another opportunity to search for signs that may not even exist. Can anxious attachment change? Perhaps the most encouraging part of attachment research is that attachment styles are not permanent identities. They are patterns, and patterns can change with time, awareness, and healthy relationships. Many people gradually develop what psychologists call earned secure attachment through supportive experiences, self-reflection, and, in some cases, therapy. The goal is not to stop caring deeply about other people. Caring is one of the greatest strengths a person can have. The goal is to build enough internal security that love no longer feels like something that could disappear every moment without warning. As that security grows, relationships often begin to feel calmer, communication becomes healthier, and emotional ups and downs become easier to manage. A different way to understand yourself. If any part of this video feels familiar, it does not mean something is wrong with you. It may simply mean your attachment system learned to protect relationships in ways that once made sense, but no longer serve you as well today. Understanding anxious attachment is not about judging yourself or placing yourself into a permanent category. It is about recognizing patterns with honesty and compassion so they can gradually change over time. The more people understand how attachment shapes thoughts, emotions, and behavior, the easier it becomes to build relationships based on trust rather than fear. Growth rarely happens all at once, but every moment of understanding creates another opportunity to respond differently the next time uncertainty appears. If you found this video helpful and want to learn more about psychology, relationships, and the science behind human behavior, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might benefit from understanding attachment styles. Leave a comment below with your thoughts, or let us know which psychology topic you would like to explore next.